Hello, Marla.
Bonjour, Lilou.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm so happy to be here with you. This is exciting.
This is exciting. I'm just going to tell a little bit about who you are because we know each other. You wrote a fantastic book called "Excuse Me, Your Soulmate is Waiting."
Yes,
What a
that
great,
was three
great
years
book.
ago.
That was three
Yeah,
years ago. And now you wrote The Diary of a Beverly Hills Matchmaker because you are a Beverly Hills matchmaker and you see a lot of stuff happening. So this is actually such a fun book to read and to see exactly what's going on in the dating world. And so tell us, can you tell us a bit of the expectation that men and women have that are just not matching with their reality and the gap that exists that you see every day?
I do. That's one of the things that has been the most difficult part of my job is when people come to me and they tell me the qualities that they want in the other person. Let's say a gentleman comes in and he's in his 50s or 60s, but he wants to date a girl 25 to 35,
Mm.
and he might look like a Danny DeVito and he wants Heidi Klum. So it's like, are you actually attracting this kind of person out in the real world? Because if you're not, I can't help you attract the kind of person in the dating service. I can maybe put that type of lady in front of you at the dinner table, but I cannot guarantee that you'll get into a relationship with her. So sometimes people are out of reality, or the women are more concerned with the man's income, what kind of car he drives, and they see all these stars on TV and these tabloids, and they think that
Yeah.
they want the kind of life that these young starlets are having.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
so how do you deal with that between that image that the media give, because it's really the media reinforcing that, especially in the US, but it's happening also in Europe. How do you deal with that and bringing the person back into really attracting what their true soulmate and life partner?
Right, and that's what I want to help them do. So when I did write Excuse Me, Your Soulmate is Waiting, that came out 3 years ago, that teaches people how to use the law of attraction and raise your vibration to pull the right person into your life, and it gives a lot of tips and skills and all that. And then Diary of a Beverly Hills Matchmaker is just really fun. It's my memoir. It's a story about what I deal with day to day working as a matchmaker, and the out of reality things, the funny stories, the blunders, the bloopers. It's a comedy, but it can be sad too, because these people can remain single year after year after year, and I have to ask them, do you really want to find your soulmate? Is that really your goal? Or do you just want to try to find the bigger, better deal, the hotter woman, the more richer man? So we do talk about this, and I do a lot of counseling. I am a certified life coach as well. So I try to steer my clients the best possible direction so that they can reach their goal.
So what recommendation would you have for people that are single and that are constantly not attracting the right person in their life, either too good or not good enough, or
Well, I really think people should do some work on themselves. A lot of women I see in this town, they have low self-esteem. They are getting all of their self-worth from their looks. A lot of people are in the creative field, so they're in music or modeling or acting, writing, and that can really beat up our soul, because there's a lot of rejection, and you have to just keep your creativity up and high and not let that stop you. But a lot of times people get all wrapped up in that's what only they're worth, only their next deal, or if they're thin enough, or they don't have any lines on their face, unfortunately. So I would say do a lot of self-work. There are a lot of great books out there. Maybe hire a life coach, go to seminars, and feel that you're really worthy of a great relationship, and that you're worth more than what the scale says or whatever job you're doing. And then when you're happy with yourself, that's when you can really pull in the right person, and they're going to be happy too. Because if you're miserable and having problems and baggage and drama and negativity, what person's going to be attracted to that? Who is really going to want to stay in your life? They might hang around for a few dates and have some fun, and then it's just going to be a drag.
do you have one of those stories that you share in there to share with us?
I do. I have a story that I think is, well, it was kind of humorous and kind of sad, about a guy who, well, most of the men who come to me, they all want slender women, which is is understandable because men are visual, so they do like a lady who's in shape. They want to like what they see. But I had a male client who loved just the skinniest possible women, and I would be looking for these, skeletons to try to match him up with. So I had a gorgeous woman. She had been a beauty queen, and she was 5'6", 115 pounds. And after the date, he said, she was very pretty. She was lovely. If only she could have been a bit thinner. So I was like, I can't believe this. So I continue looking, and I found him another woman who was 5'6", 105 pounds. And she was a doll, and I matched them up, and they went out, and I got his feedback. And afterwards, he emailed me and says, well, she was also lovely. It would have been nice if she was a bit slimmer. So I'm typing, back the response. I don't have anybody thinner than 115 pounds. And then I teased him. I said, I'm going to now start trolling the morgues to try to find you a choice skeleton to date.
Yeah. Oh my
Because
God.
I couldn't accomplish that, nobody thin enough. So
But
that was
how
one
do
of the
you
big
cope
challenges.
with that, you yourself, with all this, so that you can still do what you love, because you do want to help people?
I do, and I have had a lot of success stories. I've had a lot of people get engaged, get married. Actually, last night I had a drink. I was at the W Hotel and ran into this woman that I matched 3 years ago with a gentleman, and they were at different points in their life at the time because they both had teenage kids, and they recently reconnected in January. She's going to be going to Paris with him in May, and he's moving out here and getting a house from the East Coast, and they're going to be getting married. So I hear about these stories all the time of people I've connected. So that's really why I do it. With all the challenges and the shallowness of Los Angeles and trying to match people, I do have a lot of success stories, and so I just keep the focus on the successes. And if people are not willing to compromise or work on themselves or get real, then that's not my problem. I do what I can, and I'm here to help, but I cannot
Right.
do it all.
But you're certainly in the toughest market probably in the world, because knowing a bit California and LA, that you're dealing with some challenges for sure, and that's what makes this book funny to read also.
It is, yeah. People who don't know about the matchmaking world or Los Angeles, or they'll really get a kick out of it because it does take you a peek, behind the scenes on what goes on. Because sometimes I'll get emails or phone calls from people saying, "Oh, I'd love to be a matchmaker. How did you get into it? It sounds like such a fun and easy job." And like, well, it's fun. I love it, but it's not easy.
Tell us about the story. I love how you met your own soulmate.
My husband Adolfo, actually May 21st we'll be celebrating 9 years that we've been together. We met on May 21st 9 years ago through actually a mutual friend. I had been living in Chicago for many years, and that's where I met you, Lilu. And then in 2001, I had to move back to Los Angeles where my father was living. He was sick. He had cancer, and I had to move back to be with him. And after he passed away, I was very depressed and sad and living in a little apartment in Hollywood. And one night I needed to go up to the Rite Aid, to the pharmacy. I needed something, so I walked up there at 9 o'clock at night. On my way out, I decided to stop in the vitamin section, and I met this adorable little Polish woman who lived in the neighborhood, and we just started chatting about vitamins, and we exchanged phone numbers and became friends and started going out to comedy clubs and restaurants because I didn't have a full-time job then. And she actually she had knew a guy who lived in her building. She was a manager of an apartment building, and she introduced me to him. And it was, I guess, love at first sight because we've been together ever since.
So you do believe in love at first sight? Is it one of the things that you see works really well, is that we immediately recognize each other?
Let me change that. I don't know if it was love at first sight, but it was definitely connection at first sight, and we were together every day since we met. So then the love grew, but it was definitely a strong attraction and just a comfortable feeling. So,
What do you think is the most important? What do you think your clients should be focusing on, or people that are single should focus on in wanting to attract? What is essential?
Well, I think people put too much focus, especially women. We have that fairy tale idea that, the one is coming and he's going to come on this horse and save us and pay all our bills and
Mm-hmm.
we'll never have to be lonely again and we won't have to sit home on Saturday nights. But I feel that when you go out on a date, just come to it with the feeling and the expectation of meeting a new friend and having a great conversation and having a good time, instead of always putting that pressure on yourself and that person that this is your future husband. A lot of women will bring up the fact that they want to have kids, or, they'll grill the guy, are you interested in marriage? Because if you're not interested in what I'm interested in, then I can't see you again. And the guys just freak out. They don't even know if they want a second date with you, let alone father your children. So it just makes them run for the hills. So just go and have a great time. And if he's not right for you, maybe he's right for one of your friends, or maybe he's, there's a woman in my building who I introduced to a doctor, and she dated him for a few times. They did not hit it off romantically, but the other day I was in the garage and I saw she was driving a brand new Mercedes. I said, Monica, what's going on? Where'd you get this car? She goes, oh, it's brand new. I just had it shipped over from Germany. And she says, that doctor you matched me up with? Well, we didn't hit it off romantically, but he gave me a fantastic job. So here she is, with a wonderful career now, driving a Mercedes, and the next step is finding the soulmate. So,
wow, very cool.
Out.
Well, yeah. Unexpected things. Yeah, we have to remain open then. The openness and just wanting to connect deeply with that person is the first thing then.
Yeah, and it's okay to be alone. We don't have to keep hopping from person to person. You can be alone for a while, and that's where I was before I met my husband, because I had been divorced and I had been alone 5 years, and then I'd had all these dating disasters, picking the wrong guys, and one guy that I was dating long distance had broken up with me just at the time my father died, and I lost my apartment and job in Chicago to come back. Like, everything was crashing down, but everything kind of left my life for new things to come in, because then I got a new job in the matchmaking career. I became an author. I met my husband. So it was like things had to be torn down to build back up. And I had that feeling inside me that I just thought, I might never meet the right person. Maybe I'll just be alone. I've already been married, and I just want to work on myself. So I started going to Agape International Spiritual Center. I started a meditation practice. I started working on myself. And within 2 months, I met my husband. So my vibration was high. My attitude had changed. And when I focused on being the best me I could be, that's when the right person came in.
And is it the same advice for the guys? I mean, do they need also to build their own self-esteem? Because sometimes we feel as women that they're not really coming up or not really stepping up as we wish they would.
Absolutely. I think men do too, because sometimes a man will try to cover up his low self-esteem by being cocky or showing off or trying to show how much money he has, or driving his fast car. So being authentic too is very important, and for the men to get clear on what they want, because the women are afraid that the men are just trying to use them, just maybe trying to sleep with them. It's hard because men, that's the way men are. They want to, until they're ready and find the right woman, they do want to have fun, and they're going to try to go out with a beautiful lady. So you don't always know the man's motives. So you have to have a high self-esteem and know that you're worth more than sleeping with a guy for the night and hoping that he's going to marry you after. Or, you've got to have your priorities straight and stand up for yourself and respect yourself. And the right man will stick around and not just leave after a couple dates if you don't, give him what he wants.
Yeah, so. But the advice was for the men. So where do they need to
Right.
start?
Well, and the men need to get clear, and they're also like I was saying, they're hoping when they're coming to a dating service or a matchmaking service, hoping to find date a 10 when maybe they're not. You've got to ask yourself, what am I bringing to the table? Because I always tell women, I wish we had the self-esteem of a man. You never see a man asking, do I look fat in these pants? Or should I not go? They say, no matter what they look like, I deserve a 10, I deserve the best. So in a way, that's kind of good. They have a high self-esteem, but I think the men need to also assess what they can attract, what they're bringing to the table, learn some basic manners. The younger generation, I think, they're being raised a lot by single mothers. In this country, the men are not around to teach them the chivalry, opening the car door for the lady, showing up with a clean car, well-groomed. These are little things that the ladies notice, that the men are just kind of cocky. So treat a lady like a lady and get back to basics on these interactions, and I think the men will have a lot better chance. You'll stand way above. I know a woman who, when she was out with a gentleman, he paid her valet ticket at the end of the evening. She was so impressed. She says, "No man has ever paid my valet ticket. I'm going to go out with him on a second date because he did that."
Oh, little things. Yeah, being ourselves is number
Be
one, isn't
yourself
it?
and be on your best behavior.
Thank you so much. And I guess for people that want to read more about what's going on in Beverly Hills in the matchmaking world, then there we go.
And my life story's in there too, a lot about my life. So funny things that I do, my adventures, not
Yeah,
just about matchmaking.
yeah. Well, very, very cool, Marla. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilu.